every single one of these scenes and every form of death, it represents humans using technology to get ahead, but without giving it like its proper dues.
Yeah, we back at the Conspiracy Cinema, Paranoid American Conspiracy Cinema, Tommy Truthful, Conspiracy Cinema, sit back, relax, Conspiracy Cinema, yeah, we back at the Conspiracy Cinema, Paranoid American Conspiracy Cinema, Tommy Truthful, Conspiracy Cinema, sit back, relax, Conspiracy Cinema.
Hey, welcome to Conspiracy Cinema, brand new series that bringing to you this Paranoid American. We got Tommy Truthful over here. This is the Truth Mafia. The whole point of this new series of Conspiracy Cinema is to break down movies without all the BS in between. And it's going to be like real nice little clips. You're going to be able to understand, A, whether or not this movie's worth seeing, and then B, if there's something a little bit deeper to it. So I'm excited about this new format. How you doing, Tommy?
Good. How you doing, brother? I'm excited about it too. I'm really excited about this one.
I think we'll be able to knock out way more of these too and more consistent. So if you want to see more of these, if you like the format, if you got any feedback whatsoever, just drop them in the comments. Me and Tommy read over them. Maybe we'll laugh about them sometimes, but we'll make sure to incorporate any legitimate feedback into the next episode. So this series is just as much yours as it is ours. So I appreciate you guys watching it. And we're going to kick it off with a movie that came out this year, just so we're a little bit topical. And it's Final Destination's Bloodlines, which I think is the 6th in the whole Final Destination series. And I remember kind of growing up with these movies. Like, when did the first one come out? It came out like 25 years ago?
2000, yeah. 25 years ago, brother.
So 25 on the spot, we get the 6th one. And also, this is the first one that doesn't have a number at the end, really. And it's called Final Destination Bloodlines because it kind of gets into who you're related to. Now death is going to follow you. And if you haven't seen the first 5 movies, that's on you. You can pause it, whatever, but we're just going to straight up spoil it. And the whole premise is that if you avoid death, if you have some kind of premonition in a dream or otherwise, and you avoid your pending doom, that death is going to just keep following you until it gets you. Like, there's no escaping death. And in this movie, if you try and escape death, it kind of pauses where you're at. And then as soon as it finds you, it'll start working its way through your family line or through your bloodline. So hence the movie title.
Right. Yeah. It's that whole soul contract and how it's connected to DNA, and pretty interesting movie.
Let's just go straight through some of the main scenes. The movie opens up and it's showing train tracks. So you already know something's going to happen with the train at some point in the movie. And then it starts playing Johnny Cash, Ring of Fire. And then we see them all going up on this ring elevator into a Space Needle. And it's wild because I saw this movie right after I went to the Space Needle in Seattle. So I stood on this glass floor that you look down and it's spinning and all that. I don't know. I probably still would have went on it even after I'd seen this movie first, but I would have felt completely different about it.
Yeah, there is that connection to Seattle and the Space Needle, and I was thinking that too when I watched it. The whole thing was that kid getting the penny out of the wishing well, remember? And they told him not to take that penny out of the wishing well, and that penny caused everything to really kind of happen. Them caused the piano to fall down. They showed you the date on it for a split second, which was 1969. But go ahead, Paranoid.
You know that this kid's going to be a problem too, because the second he gets on the elevator, he starts like jumping up and down on it to freak everyone out.
Yeah.
I got to admit, I'm like in my 40s and sometimes I do that too. But like, you know that he's going to be the catalyst. And one of the recurring themes in this entire Final Destination like movie series is something called the Rube Goldberg device. And usually a Rube Goldberg device is something that's been way over-engineered with a lot of different moving parts. I don't know if you went back and watched like Pee-wee's Playhouse or something, where you'd have a little windmill, and the windmill would kick a marble, and the marble would go down a chute and like knock into a toaster, and the bread would pop. You know, it's like one of these things. And that's the whole premise of these movies, is that they slowly show you this Rube Goldberg machine, and they'll show you the hints as to like, here's the thing that's going to kick it all off. And in this case, yeah, it's this kid and his penny. That penny rolls and it gets caught into the gears inside of this tower, which ultimately is the thing that causes the entire thing to collapse. And it, just like you get that premonition with the Johnny Cash Ring of Fire, the whole thing lights on fire. And we find out later that this lady that was in this kept seeing the future. She kept seeing everything that was going to happen. So she's able to escape death. And she ends up becoming a recluse and moves out into like a junkyard or something, like miles away from anyone else. And she just never leaves again. And that's her way of surviving. And then as soon as one of her like down the lineage, someone starts having these dreams, and they go and they find her. And the second they find her, the lady's dead. Like a weather vane just goes through the back of her head and then like through the front of her face. And that's when this like Rube Goldberg chain of events starts happening to the entire family.
Yeah, well, you know, that part, she kind of did that on purpose, though, didn't she? Because death was trying to get her in the house the whole time, and she was stopping it from happening. It tried to catch the rope on fire with the light, and she threw the thing at it to knock it out the way. But then she told her granddaughter was leaving, and she said, well, she's got to see to believe it. Step back. She told her granddaughter, step back, and she just let death kind of take her.
She knew. I mean, and also, I mean, she's getting kind of old, so I figure that she's survived this long, and the fact that her, I guess, granddaughter ends up finding her means that death is going to find her too. And so I guess the way that I was watching this movie is every single one of these scenes and every form of death, it represents humans using technology to get ahead, but without giving it like its proper dues. And I mean that in a literal sense. We'll find that out at the very last scene. But if you don't give nature its dues, then it kind of comes after you. And this very first scene where the Space Needle catches on fire, this seems like a clear reference to the Tower of Babel. This is the Tower of Babel falling, where we've developed this technology that reaches so high up into the sky, but we're not giving the proper honor before we get to that level. So it just gets struck down. And this is going to be a recurrent theme through every one of these different deaths.
Yeah, I agree with that. I actually was thinking that same premise with that one, the Tower of Babel. You're dead on. And you know, what's interesting too, it kind of happened in real life. You know, art imitates life. And there was a scene down in, I think it was in Brazil somewhere, at the Ocachoca Theater, where the whole roof of the movie theater collapsed. Did you see that during the viewing of this movie? And it fell on this family, and they escaped it. I'm talking the whole roof fell on them, bro. Yeah.
I didn't hear that. No, I'll have to pull that article up. I'll show it right here.
Yeah. It's a mainstream news. So that happened, and I'm telling everybody, man, we should watch this family. Who knows, probably down the line, they might end up dying because they escaped death, which was the premise of the movie. So
they need to have a number 7 and then put that family like in a movie theater watching it or something, like meta. Get like the actual family that survived, put them in the next movie, and then have them maybe die in the script. So maybe that'll get rid of the curse in real life. I don't know. We're in uncharted territory right now, I think.
Yeah, I agree. So I got some breakdowns on the one scene, if you want me to get into that, brother.
Well, I'll get us there. Because there's one more scene that happens before the tattoo shop, and this is probably my favorite one. It's the lawnmower scene. And at this point, you already know, even if you've never seen any of the other Final Destination movies, you know that they're going to show you all these different components to how someone's going to die. And they also do a lot of misdirection in this movie in kind of a clever way, where they'll show you these MacGuffins and these red herrings that you're like, oh, someone's going to choke on a piece of glass. That's how they're going to die. And then it ends up going a little different. So in this one, all the different components are that you see a shard of glass falls into a drink, and then they pass drinks out to everyone. But then on the side, someone has, and they're at like an outdoor barbecue. Someone knocks a beer over, which hits an automatic hose, and then the glass shard that's in the drink that gets spilt over, and the glass is just sticking up in the grass. And after a little while, the dad's like, this is all silly. No one's gonna die. He immediately steps on this glass, and then when he falls over, a rake falls onto the mower. It turns the mower on, and then the mower runs over the dad, and everyone sees this. And I don't know if you notice this, as it's zooming out, it shows a little pinwheel, like garden decoration, which is clearly a reference to the spinning lawnmower blade. And I think this one, there's a lot of like American ghost stories, especially in the Appalachian region, where when technology and tractors first started coming out, there were, I think, practically a lot of people were like losing hands and worse, right? Because the safety regulations weren't up to par. People didn't really understand how to use this technology yet. So there was all sorts of warning stories about, hey, these things are going to come alive and they're going to eat you and they're going to kill you. And again, this is representing actual folklore that says if you don't respect technology or if you adopt it too quickly, then it's going to come back to bite you in the ass or in the face, I guess.
Yeah. And actually, I had an uncle that lost his hand trying to stick his hand under a lawnmower, and a rope got wrapped up around it. And it, I don't know why you would think to do that while it was on, but he did, and it chopped his hand. So yes, it definitely people are losing limbs at, even not so long ago. Not the brightest people, but
I can attribute, like, I will duct tape a light switch off and maybe even turn off in the breaker if I just need to fish around the garbage disposal, because I've seen so many horror movies where if you don't do these things, then it just like turns itself on, which I know is kind of irrational, but again, like horror movies kind of train you in a way to avoid hurting yourself. And that's like the whole premise of ghost stories too. They were told almost like Aesop fables. So the next scene is in a tattoo shop. I'll let you take over this one because I know you got a lot of notes on this.
Okay, yeah. So the next scene, right after what Paranoid American was talking about there, the father dies, okay? And Eric is, that's his dad. Up to this point, we think so. This is his dad. And he's a tattoo artist. So he's at the tattoo shop, and he's putting this tattoo on his arm that says Dad. Now I got some slides right here where he says Dad. So he just gets done doing this, and his cousin's messaging him, "Are you okay?" And then you see this kind of demonic looking thing on the screen that kind of looks like Ball a little bit. But he's a tattoo artist. She says, "Are you okay, Stefani?" Now she's the one that can see the visions, kind of like her grandma, and see death coming for her family. And at this time, she thinks it's coming for Eric because he's the oldest. That's what she thinks. But what she doesn't know is that Eric is not the real son. He doesn't even know this at this point. He's not the son of the guy that just died. His mom cheated on that guy, so he's not part of that lineage, right? And it's very fascinating because when he gets that message from his cousin, it says 113 on the screen, and it's his dad kissing him on the cheek. Well, 113, and we're talking about gematria here. This comes from Jewish Kabbalah mysticism. It's turning a letter into a number. It's a major number with disinformation. It comes from the Babylonian Talmud, the Baba Kamal, where they can circumvent the Gentile. And perjury is 113, dishonest, not true, mainstream, infidelity, and what happened there? She cheated on the father, and that's why he's not part of the bloodline. So you think he's going to die. Not honest, not fiction, illusion, disinfo, politics, all tied to that 113 cipher. And after she texts, "Are you okay?" he gets caught by this hook in his nose ring, and it's attached to where the fan is. So it's starting to pull him up. He's climbing up the chair, climbing on the thing, where the glass is, where he can show all of his different tattoo guns and stuff like that. He breaks through that. You really think he's about to die. And as that's all happening, there's a major fire motif throughout this whole movie. And this movie releases right as the time all the fires are going on, right? With LA, we just had that situation. And they show you for a split second what's causing the fire, and it's this disinfectant, ICNU, which says kills bacteria and the V word. I'm not even going to say that word, but ICNU equals 23. And then when you look into the first Final Destination, their budget was $23 million, the original one, and their earnings was 112 million, which that's a tie to the Jesuits. There's 112. They're in 112 nations, the Jesuit order, which is tied to the Knights of Malta and these secret societies that play a big hand in a lot of these pictures, working with these cinemagicians. Now, 23 is also tied to our DNA. You have 23 chromosomes, 23 from your mom, 23 from your dad, and he's not part of the bloodline, right? So him writing that dad on his arm in the shop, and then they end the scene with the shop burning down. You think he's dead because he's in there with the fire just blazing. This is how they end the scene. And you see 1969 on the shop. Well, go ahead, Paranoid.
And that's the date that was on the penny that we start out on.
It was, brother. 1969 was the date on the penny. So I'm like, okay, this is interesting. Why do they keep hitting us with all these 69 references? And the actor's name, Eric, that was his name in the movie, is 69. That's the address on his shop. And that's when we originally, allegedly, went to the moon, 1969, July 20th of 1969, the 201st day of the year. And then there's a connection there with Event 201, which was the simulation of the event that happened in 2020 that kept us all in our houses, if you get what I'm saying. And Final Destination, the mirror reflection of 201 is 102. And Final Destination in the 369 Gematria cipher, which only occultdecode.com, we're the only place in the world that has that cipher, because most of these other platforms are, not allowed to put out ciphers like that. But in that cipher, it equals 102, which is the mirror reflection of 201, like the event 201. And 102 is connected to Art of War, the Rona situation, the Code Red that took place in 2020 and locked us all down. 120 or 102 years prior to that was the Spanish flu. So, there's a big connection there too. There's this moon connection. They're invoking that moon energy in the scene. And then the timeline that Paranoid mentioned in the beginning, the original Final Destination debuted in the U.S. March 17, 2000. And then the Final Destination Bloodline hits theaters on May 16, 2025. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to say March, May 16th, which is 25 years. So 25 years there, guys. And that's the number of death. That's what I caught that scene, bro. It really hit me because, then we find out she thinks he's dead and she finds him walking down the road. And the next scene, his sister gets thrown in that freaking garbage truck, remember? Because she was actually the oldest.
And so in the tattoo shop scene, I was also thinking with the Tower of Babel, right? Babylonian practices, he gets hooked in the nose and he starts getting led around, which to me, I was like, this is bull sacrifice, because they would lead bulls around by that ring. And that's the whole reason you get your septum pierced, right? It's like to mimic the same thing as like a bull ring. And not only that, but he was sort of not part of the bloodline because his mom had an affair And if she had an affair and it wasn't with the dad, it would have been with what you would call a bull, right? So like he kind of represents this bull sacrifice. However, he doesn't get sacrificed. So the tradition keeps going on. And it would have been a worthless sacrifice because, again, he wasn't in the bloodline. And this is Final Destination Bloodlines. And the very next morning, he's like, you know, I'm fine. Like, I didn't, like, nothing's going to happen to me. What do you think? I'm going to just like get hit by a truck or something? And he even mentions, what do you think? Like a soccer ball is going to hit like that thing over there and it's going to knock me into this garbage truck. That's silly. And then we see those exact sequence of events happen, but it happens to his sister who's actually in that bloodline. And she just, it's kind of like a cartoon style, like Rube Goldberg machine, like Looney Tunes, where she gets bombed into, like with a soccer ball, she just falls into a garbage can. And then at that exact moment, the garbage truck pulls up and it just squishes her. So I thought it was a way of showing like, hey, this guy that was about to be the sacrificial bull, he also has divination, but he doesn't respect the fact that he can see these things, and that's his lesson is like, hey, if you get these premonitions, it's not let's mock it, it's like maybe actually take it seriously.
Yeah, because he starts like making love to the garbage truck, like hugging it. Oh, this garbage truck's gonna kill me. You know, he was
mocking death at that point. Yeah.
That was this whole thing. And then, but we still didn't find out that he was not part of the bloodline because it didn't make sense that she died, but she was the oldest and next in line in that bloodline. That's where that all comes full circle, you know? So yeah. Well,
there's two more deaths in this movie. The next one was probably my favorite scene. It wasn't the best death. I think the best death was the mower scene, but this one seemed the most symbolic. And this is where the older like half brother goes in with like now the last remaining young brother, and they go to get an MRI scan. And when they go to get this MRI scan, they tell them, hey, remove all metal, all piercings, take anything metal out of your pockets, because again, this turns into this huge magnet. And as soon as they go in there, this reminded me of the Freemasonic entered apprentice degree where you're supposed to make sure you don't have any metal on you. And the official reason is because you're supposed to enter poor, just like you entered the world. You don't have anything with you. In the same way that when you die, you don't bring anything with you. So it's to reflect this cycle of birth and death. But what happens is that the dude forgets that he does have metal on him. I think it's like a piercing or something. So when they turn on the MRI machine, it rips that out, and this starts a whole new sequence of events that ultimately ends with a soda vending machine getting sucked towards the MRI machine because it's malfunctioning, and then like one of those little coils that you know dispenses the treats, it kind of gets sucked through and it just impales this dude. So as I'm watching, I was like, oh, he actually didn't follow the entered apprentice degree properly, and he died because of it.
Yep. Yeah. There was a little Masonic connection there. And I mean, that thing really, it didn't just like impale him. It like drilled and spiraled into his head. That was probably the worst death scene there. I forgot about that one. You're right. That was a good one.
They sneak it in. And then the very last death scene at the end of the movie, and I think we've already spoiled all the best parts, but they have one last little surprise because we think the youngest daughter that's been having these premonitions that kind of kicked this whole thing off, we're thinking, oh, she's actually somehow making it through life. I guess they figured that the curse has been lifted, because one of the rules was that if you like kill the person that was going to be next in line, that it's supposed to end right there. However, we find out it's not true. And again, when the movie first opened, we saw the train tracks. Well, now we see them crossing over the train tracks, driving the same car that we see drive by in the opening scene. Now they're driving it. They pull up outside, and you hear this train like crashing in the background. And they look at each other, and they know that they're in trouble, and they start running. And the second they start running, this one of these train carts is carrying these huge logs, and this huge log just comes and just smashes both of them like little bugs. And I'm pretty sure that this was also a connection to Final Destination 2, in which the beginning of that movie, someone dies on the highway by this big log. So there's a lot of like interconnected symbolism within this movie and the previous ones. I didn't have it in me to go back and watch 1 through 5, but I'm almost positive you could kind of map it all out and see even more connections. There's probably even a connection in this movie with each of the previous 5 movies.
Yeah, and how it came out from Final Destination 1, 25 years later, the 25-year anniversary to Bloodline, and then the whole log connection, logs equals 25 in English Kabbalah Gematria. So what do you know? There's another 25 connection, which is ultimately connected to death.
What do you know? Well, if you use occultdecode.com, you can track all this stuff on your own too, and post in the comments any other cool, maybe like numbers that come up, any patterns that we missed, and maybe we'll do like a live stream and talk about this particular movie a little bit more. But I'm most curious, what did you think about the movie? And we'll give it like a combined score out of 10 that's like the symbolism that you cared about, if the movie itself was good, just all together, what would you give this out of 10?
1 out of 10, I would give it a 6.5 myself.
Okay, I think I'm right there with, I'd probably say like 6, because I'm going to reserve like the 7s and 8s and 9s for like some really good ones. I think it's an entertaining movie, which is, in my opinion, the most important part. Even if it's drenched with symbolism, if it's a boring movie or it's like shot poorly, I can't get through it. This one was entertaining to watch. And if you watch it through the lens of everyone's getting punished for not valuing the convenience that technology is giving their life, and they're taking it for granted, it almost feels like there's a deeper meaning than just being like a slosh B-horror movie.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. I definitely agree with that. And yeah, guys, the gematria that I was using, check that out on occultdecode.com. And then if you want to get your own decode, you can get that done on truthfultv.com by your boy Tommy Truthful, where I break down your source code connected to you. Because we live in some type of simulated reality. That's why these numbers work. And, you know, the smartest people in the world tell us this, and I truly believe that with all my heart from doing all these decodes. And I just can't believe that it's someone behind the scenes making all the numbers add up. You know what I mean? It's got to be some type of organic source code going on there. But yeah, I enjoyed this one, and I look forward to doing more with you. Are we going to do that one with Demi Moore next?
Yeah, so coming up after this Conspiracy Cinema, we're going to do The Substance with Demi Moore. I highly recommend that you go and watch it before you see our decode of it, because we'll spoil pretty much the whole movie. So, and it's well worth the watch. I really do recommend. Maybe yes. I'm showing my hand a little bit on what my rating is going to be, but it's definitely a high rating. And then after that one, I think we're going to go and do 28 Years Later, which is still in theaters now. So we'll kind of hit that while the iron is hot. But I'm looking forward to both of those ones. What else you got? Are we ready to tie this up?
Yeah, we're ready to tie it up, but I would say tell them to check out conspiracycinema.com where our past decodes are at. We kind of did a different format with our old ones, guys, but you'll see how we started out and how we came to this format, and that's conspiracycinema.com, right?
Conspiracycinema.com, you'll see at the top of that website all the different decodes we've already done. If there's a link to stream it somewhere, there's a link right there. And then at the bottom of that page has got all the other movies and TV shows that we plan to get to at some point. Like the list might shift around a little bit, but you can see whatever's at the top of that list is most likely the next movies that we're going to be reviewing. So if you want us to review a specific movie, go ahead and let us know in the comments, and we'll add it to the website.
Yep.
All right, that's another episode of Conspiracy Cinema, the first new format. Again, let us know what you think, man, and thank you. Peace.
Peace.
Ready for a cosmic conspiracy about Stanley Kubrick, moon landings, and the CIA? Go visit nasacomic.com.
nasacomic.com, CIA's biggest con. Stanley Kubrick put us on, that's why we're singing this song. I'm nasacomic.com. Go visit nasacomic.com. Go visit nasacomic.com. TruthMafiaTV.com, CIA's biggest con. Stanley Kubrick put us on, that's why we're singing this song. About NASAcomic.com, go visit NASAcomic.com. Go visit NASAcomic.com. Yeah, go visit NASAcomic.com.
Never a Straight Answer is a 40-page comic about Stanley Kubrick directing the Apollo space missions.
Yeah, go visit NASAcomic.com.
This is the perfect read for comic, Kubrick, or conspiracy fans of all ages. For more details, visit nasacomic.com.
Paranoid. Yo. I scribble my life away, driven to write the page. Will it enlighten your brain? Give you the flight, my plane, paper the highs ablaze. Somewhat of an amazing feel when it's real to real. You will engage it. Your favorite, of course, the Lord of an arrangement. I gave you the proper results to hit the pavement. If they get emotional, hey, maybe your language, a game, how they playing it well without Lakers. Evade them, whatever the cost, they are the shapeshift. Snakes get decapitated, met is the apex. Execution of flame you out, nuclear bomb distributed at war, rather gruesome for eyes to see. Max them out, then I light my trees. Blow it off in the face, you're despising me for what though? Calculated and rather cutthroat. Paranoid American must be all the blunt smoke for real. Lord, give me a day away, vacate. They wait around to hate whatever they say. Matters not in the least bit. We get heavy rotate when a beat hits, so thank us, you're welcome. Fuck the niggas for real, you're welcome. They ain't never had a deal, you're welcome. Man, they lacking appeal, you're welcome. Yet they doing it still, you're welcome.